We thank all of you for joining. This is the athletic webinar to prepare you the more we can for the start of the year and for answer any questions you guys have in relation to athletics. But we have in the room our athletic director, Mr. Brooks. He will be guiding us through the different opportunities, the different policies, what he recommends personally as a stellar athlete. That's what they say. We also have in the room Mr. Amo Weld, which will be advising the postgraduates this year, and a lot of them are very athletic related, and he can provide a perspective from the dormitory as well. I'm here just for fun. I am, as you can tell from my look, I'm not very athletic, but I enjoy it. So I will be the MC tonight. Mr. Brooks, do you want to start kind of telling them a little bit about what is the plan for the fall? And I think the fall season is probably the most urgent to discuss, as we have plenty of time to prepare for the winter season, for the spring season as well.
Absolutely. I think you're selling yourself short. First off and foremost, Edwin, you're just like me. You're a washed up athlete. I know you did your thing at Middlebury.
It's been a long time.
But yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of we'll focus a lot on the fall just because it's on the near horizon, and then of course we can talk about the winter and spring if that's applicable. But I'm going to talk a lot about the senior division, and then Amo Weld will talk about the junior division and kind of the offerings that we have there. But yeah, so first off and foremost, we kind of a big thing, and you may have seen it in Hebron Awaits or Hebron Connected, depending on who you are as a student and as a family. But what we want to get is an indication early on of what students want to play in the fall. So Edwin, I shared that information. I don't know if you can share that in the chat or not. If Edwin can figure this out, he's got it.
I got it.
So he's going to share those forms. No worries if you don't fill those out now. They're also going to be emailed out in Hebron Awaits and Hebron Connected tomorrow. And those forms, what they are is an indication form. So to be clear, they're not signups, right? I'll talk about that when we sign up for the fall sports in a little bit, but that's an indication as to what you want to play in the fall. And you're allowed to change your mind. But for us, as we're planning for the fall, it will be helpful information for us to have as we kind of come into the school year. So if you could do that, please fill that out. Doesn't need to be right now, but it can also be tomorrow when you get that email. But again, that would be really helpful. In that form, whether you're a senior division or junior division, you have kind of all of the offerings. For the senior division, I'll talk about that. That is more kind of set in stone what we're going to offer. And so you can pretty much bank on those sports that are in that form that we're going to offer in the fall. And I'll run down that list. I have my notes because otherwise I can't just go off the dome. I'm not as smart as Mr. Weld is here. So I'm going to run down the list of those sports to kind of get you guys to start thinking about what you might want to play. And also just something of note, we will be sending out I guess for lack of a better term, like a pack list. So as it relates to your fall sport. So for example, if you want to do mountain biking, you will need a mountain bike for the fall. We have a couple mountain bikes, but we can't rely on all of those bikes to supply to our mountain biking team. So if you want to take part in mountain biking in the fall, it's important that you get out in front of it, get a bike if you don't have it, and make sure that it gets to the school in time for the fall. And Edwin, jump in if I'm getting a little.
Yeah, I think the same idea applies for golf. There are certain sports where all the equipment is here. American football, the best football. We have the equipment for that. but specific sports like golf, where the equipment depends on your height, on so many different factors, you should be encouraged to bring your own clubs, to bring your own mountain bike, and eventually to potentially the same applies for skiing, right? But in the meantime, I do want to make sure that anybody who is sending questions right now, like Daniel or Sophia, we will get to you. We're gonna give Mr. Brooks a chance to cover all the topics, and then we're gonna open the room for questions and make sure that we go through all of them.
Absolutely. So yeah, I do see those questions, and I'll definitely touch on them. They're great, relevant questions. And again, Edwin or Amo, just interrupt me if need be. But just going down the list of fall sports for the upper school, we'll start from the top. We have cross country. A lot of that is done on our trails, and we not only do we practice on them, but we host races on our trails. So it's a lot of like trail running, and you'll find at our peer schools and schools that we compete at, it's very similar. Given kind of our surroundings, we take advantage of the trails. So for golf or for cross country, come equipped with some running shoes, and preferably trail running shoes. Next up, mountain biking. We talked about that. That's co-ed. That's kind of a big differentiator for us. We're lucky in that we have miles upon miles upon miles of wonderful mountain biking trails. If you want a mountain bike, be sure to bring a mountain bike, and also just as important is a helmet. Without that, you can't get on the trails, unfortunately. The helmet is a little bit easier to get once you're on campus. Mountain bikes, not so much. The demand is high given COVID, supply is low. But I've helped a couple of families through that process, and so if you have questions about that or anything, feel free to reach out. Field hockey, girls is a girls sport. If you're going to play field hockey, what you'll need is cleats, shin pads, and your stick and eye protection. And we can kind of help out with that stuff. We do have a lot of field hockey equipment available on campus to kind of give out. And again, if you're like me and you have a short memory, all of this information will be emailed to you in writing, but just kind of for the purposes of this, we'll run through these things. Football, yeah. Edwin, you mentioned it. Really, this is American football. Bring a set of cleats and some athletic clothing, and we have the rest. We'll supply you with the rest of that. Golf, which is co-ed, it's important that you bring your golf clubs. I think it's probably easiest to transport in a bag, but once you get here, we've got the nice Hebron outfitted bag. So we're showing up to matches looking like a team, looking like the team that we are. And I think it's pertinent to say right now that I think I speak for everyone on the panel here tonight. We are so excited that we have a full fall schedule of games and matches and meets. It's identical to what we did 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And so we are thrilled for that. So I hope everyone on the listening in and tuning in right now is excited, because Amo's done a lot of hard work in the junior division, and we've connected the dots in the senior division to get us.
On that note, I mean, no pressure to everybody, but we're so excited to have a normal year when it comes to athletics, that I hope, and we all hope, that you guys will step it up, and we were gonna beat everybody else. I mean, as you guys know, I don't like a single other school, so I am very excited to go back to competing and being there while beating them. So this is great. It's a blessing that we're back at it, but I think there's a lot of pressure too.
Yeah, well, absolutely. There's some pressure, but if Mr. Nunez gets on your case, just like next sport, we have boys varsity soccer, boys JV soccer, and girls varsity soccer. So those three sports, what you'll need is cleats, shin pads, and athletic kind of clothing so that you can practice. If you come to campus and you're without shin pads or cleats, we can certainly help out with that. We work a lot with local sports stores to outfit our students. So it's not the end of the world if you don't come with that. Outdoor education, which is kind of a combination of hiking in the woods. I think they do a couple overnights on campus in our trail systems near the outdoor center down by Marshall Pond. They might throw in some rock climbing. We have a rock wall here. We also have rocks on campus. It's really kind of a combination of all the outdoor things that we want our students to get involved in. Obviously, faculty led, and Mike Tholen does a great job with that one. After school art, that is primarily for, and this is a policy worth mentioning, for our new students. We want our new students to take part in a team sport. And the reason for that is we want our students to make connections early on. And we find that a good way to do that is through team sports. Nothing against art. I'm a photography teacher. I love the arts. But just in terms of sociability and making connections, in our experience, we've found that happens quickly on the athletic field. So,
and I believe dance is an option too. Yeah.
Dance is, you beat me to it. Dance is the last option. So that's considered a team sport. You're in there with a group of people taking part in dance, and we have a new dance coach, and I was caught up with him a couple days ago, and he's excited. He has a lot of different. Dance is not my world, but he was talking about everything, literally from hip hop and street to ballet. And so it runs the gamut, and he's really excited about that. And for dance, just bring some clothes that you can move in, and Edwin might even pop in to show you how to style.
You know what? You're speaking my language right now. I'm surprised that Mr. Brooks is not a dancer, but I'll be there. If I was a student, I will join dance, no question about it.
Absolutely. So that's kind of my little rundown. To recap, keep an eye out for the forums, and then also the pack list. We're gonna blast that out in Hebron Awaits and Hebron Connected.
Yeah, and let me use this time to remind everybody how important it is to read through Hebron Awaits and Hebron Connected when you get them every Friday. There is a lot of information there that is worth checking and taking your time to read every post. On that note, I believe we're entering the junior division now, right?
Yep. Yeah. So for the junior division, it's a similar slate of teams. We have boys competitive soccer, cross country, golf, mountain biking, outdoor skills, and dance as well. And for most of these teams, it's been based off of the form responses. So, as Mr. Brooks has been saying, please do fill out those forms. It helps us just determine numbers for each team. It helps us determine interest and potential different offerings. But with the return to normalcy, we will have a lot more competitive options, especially the boys competitive soccer team. We'll start traveling out of the state. We'll go to New Hampshire. We'll go to upstate Massachusetts. And really just for the junior division, it's an ability to get on a bus with the team. It's an ability to go play very capable and qualified teams just all around the region. And I think it'll be a really, really cool opportunity to, test their mettle against some of the best junior division teams that we'll see. And then also with cross country, golf, getting into mountain biking, outdoor skills. So, you do have the ability to, really make the most of the Hebron campus, get out into our trail system. And, as Mr. Brooks was saying as well, it's especially for our junior division, 6 through 9, it's just kind of a built-in community right off the bat, starting from preseason day one into real competitive games versus other schools. It's a great opportunity just to meet, kids in your grade and start to kind of build those connections with a lot of students that you'll go through your Hebron experience with.
Perfect. Mr. Brooks, I don't know if you want to expand a little bit on the process between, I know you touched a little bit on it, but the process of how do you sign up for sports? And also, what if I sign up for a sport and I'm having second thoughts and I'm actually a great golfer, but I was just being shy?
Are you a good golfer? I don't think so.
I got the hips for it, you know what I mean? But what happens with that process?
Yeah, so again, so it might be a little bit confusing, but right now, the forms we're sending out, like I said, are indication forms. This is not binding or anything. It's just helpful information for us for planning. you're going to sign up for your fall sport the day you arrive at registration. So part of this webinar is for everyone to start thinking about what they might want to play in the fall, so that when they get to registration, they're not like, oh, I surprised by this big decision. And so there's going to be different booths along the way of registration. And as you come through the athletic booth, obviously ask any questions you want, and we'll be happy to answer them. But eventually you'll sign up for your fall sport. And that also, while that will mean where you're going to report to that practice or that dance class or art class, whatever it may be, that's where you'll report on day one. We do have a 2-week period where you can just choose to switch in between teams, right? So if you, for example, are shy like Mr. Nunez is, and you sign up for whatever it is, not golf, you sign up for soccer and realize a couple of days in or a week and a half in that you actually, you want to play golf. If it's within that 2-week window, you're welcome to switch. It's worth mentioning too, I see a question in the chat. I know we're not at the Q&A yet, but it's relevant. You can't do 2 sports in the same season. Generally, the exception to that rule is, for example, if you are playing, let's say, girls ice hockey in the winter, and we have the musical going on in the winter as well. So we have students who, for their winter after school activity, will do the musical, for example, and that's all they do. But if you're a girls hockey player, which is a big commitment, and you want to take part in the musical as well, we will certainly find ways to get you in the musical. We've done it in the past. We love that our students are branching out and trying new things. So that would kind of be the exception to the rule. But generally, yeah, you pick your sport, and after that 2-week period, that's your sport for the season.
And the thing to add to that is, you are part of a team. You play games on Wednesdays, you play games on Saturdays against other schools. If you happen to do 2 sports, then which sport are you going to play for?
Right.
We want to make sure that whatever sport you pick, you are part of that team and you go all in that sport. Mr. Brooks, I think that there's a few questions I think it's worth talking a little bit about. How does preseason looks like? When does it start? All of that.
Yeah, so I'm pulling out my calendar here. I'm looking at it. So we go, the senior division goes on orientation trips. We leave on August 30th, which is a Monday. They come back August 31st, Tuesday, which is a great whole nother perhaps webinar. I'm personally excited for that. But then first day of preseason is September 1st, which is a Wednesday. And you'll have dedicated time in the afternoon for preseason. So those practices and those sessions in preseason, really the target and goal for those is to get students moving again, get them thinking about the sport. If on certain levels, on other levels, like if it's a competitive varsity level, then the coaches might push a little harder. But preseason runs from, again, I'm looking at my calendar, September 1st through the 3rd, and that's a Friday. Then we have the weekend, the 4th, the 5th, and then that's 6th. That's a Monday. September 6th is kind of like the first day of practice, so to speak. And then we have some games as early as September 10th, if memory serves me correctly. I think we have varsity girls and boys varsity soccer against Berwick on the 10th. So we're wasting no time getting into it. Ideally, we would love to have a little more time, but to be candid, Berwick doesn't have much time to get ready for it either. So, and we were happy to keep them on our schedule, and that was the time. So, again, wasting no time, but we definitely have a couple of days of preseason to kind of stretch out the legs and get back into it. And then that Monday, the 6th, is the first day of practice.
Yeah, I think on that note, if you are a competitive athlete and you want to be in the varsity team, you should be running, in this summer.
Agreed.
Reach out to Mr. Brooks. He can give you his own personal fitness plan. So the preseason will be a little bit shorter because we want to get right into games and competitions. So keep that in mind. Mr. Brooks, kind of a little bit a question that is a little bit off topic. What if I'm already concerned about winter sports? Should I be signing up for winter sports right now, or do I have time?
No, that's a good question. Winter sports, it's great to think about right now, but we won't have those signups until November. Or maybe mid to late October. At that point, for all of the new students here, at that point, you'll be fully integrated into the community and comfortable and kind of understand the rhythm of the school. And Mr. Weld and I will make announcements at all school meetings. We'll bug your advisors if you miss it at all school meetings. Your advisors will tell you. And then if it comes to it, Mr. Weld and I will knock on some doors and have you sign up for your winter sport. But right now, of course, it's great to think about, but it's not something that you need to be worried about signing up for. That'll happen later on in the fall.
Yeah, and going off that as well, it'll happen naturally in school meetings as well. A lot of the winter sports will call together groups of students who are interested in, whether it's skiing, basketball, hockey, and just so they kind of have a general idea of which students will be choosing that activity. So, there'll be a couple different avenues where, you can express your interest prior to the forum, but especially in the forum.
It is worth mentioning. If you do want to ski, to get the best possible rate on ski passes, I'm just going to throw that there's nothing to do now, but if you anticipate going to Sunday River more than 3 or 4 times, which most of our ski and snowboarders do, then I would highly, highly recommend getting the pass. And you'll look for information from myself early October. That's in late September, really, because that's the window to get that pass. And so I just say that to get that on your radars now. If you think you're going to go to Sunday River, whether it's with the Alpine ski team, snowboard team, or rec skiing, or on the weekends on a Sunday or Saturday, just for fun, and you want to go 3 or 4 times, get the pass will pay for itself after that 3rd or 4th visit.
One question from a parent that and after this, I think we can start the Q&A. I know a lot of people have a few questions, but will it be the opportunity for parents, Mr. Brooks, for them to watch the games online?
Yeah, so there will be. I'm trying to rack my brain. If you can help me, where did we
we have stepped it up.
Help me out. Where are those cameras going?
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a rotating camera that is new in the rink, in the field, and in the inside the athletic center where the basketball court is. So there will be constant live streaming of the events, athletic events, competitions, but also every now and then we'll live stream a very competitive game of dodgeball as well. We'll have some narrators in there, guest narrators, celebrity impersonators. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, but there will be way more accessibility for parents this year to be able to watch the games online.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have those. So we have those. Those are new cameras that we've invested in. They are cameras that are going to be installed on the fields, and so those will be operated remotely, and so those will follow the kind of the pace of the play. And then we also have kind of what we've used in years past, where we set up an actual person and film a game. So all that is to say that we've amped up our live streaming capabilities this year.
And before I go through some of the questions, you guys have the Q&A option in there. You can send us a question so that we can answer it. But before we open that, I just want to reinforce what Mr. Brooks and Mr. Well have been saying, which is we're so excited to be able to have a regular fall season with competition, with traveling to other schools, with showing them who is better. I think it's going to be amazing. Jack the Lumberjack will be there. We will have also fans that come and support. Athletics are a huge part of Hebron, and I think we're all very excited to have that back. One question is, Mr. Brooks, when does fall sports start after preseason? When is the official date?
I'm pulling out the calendar again. So September. I mean, I would say it starts September 1st. That's preseason. And you go to preseason with that sport that you picked at registration. And that's the first day of fall sports is September 1st, which is a Wednesday. It's called preseason because it's kind of before the season, I guess. But after that, so September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, that's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That first kind of real practice is September 6th, which is a Monday.
And somebody is asking about the form, which I'm posting again. You can fill it out. It will be on Hebron Awaits in the newsletters on Friday as well. So make sure you read the newsletters, all right? Make sure you read them. Another question is, what if a sport is full? Will that be an option in what to do in that case?
A really good question. We really, I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where a kid wouldn't be able to play a sport that he or she wanted. We do everything within reason to accommodate our students who want to play sports. And so if your student or your son or daughter has aspirations to play soccer, for example, and maybe they don't necessarily have the chops to play at the varsity level, they can certainly play at JV. But I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where we don't get a student into the sport that they want. There'll be situations, and this is where like kind of my teacher and coach hat comes in, where I know a student is capable and able to play a sport, but maybe a little bit lazy. I might gently push them into the sport. And in years past, when I've done that, like it's always been a good experience because I'm doing it from a place where they're going to grow, right? That's what we want our students to do. And part of it is pushing them. To answer your question, I can't imagine a scenario where a student doesn't get to play a sport they want.
I look at last year, Mr. Brooks, what was it, 70 plus students that were shuttling to the mountains to ski and snowboard every day. We'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah, if we can get 70 plus students to and from a mountain in a pandemic with travel restrictions, I think we can handle this year.
I think on that note, the only comment I have is that you do have the 2-week grace period to make a change, but that's where waiting to the last minute could be tricky, right? Because maybe you are playing golf and you're like, I'm gonna try golf, and until the last minute you're like, no, I just want to do soccer. You need to the sooner that you are able to commit to a sport, the better. That way we are able to accommodate every student into their preference.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there a deadline for submitting the form?
No deadline. Like I said, the form is an indication form that helps us. The sooner that you get it in, the better. It's just more data for us to draw from. But like I said, when you get to campus, you will register you'll make your fall picks at registration at the booth, and then in that moment we will meet in person. But no, there's no deadline for the indication form.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I have always said that one of the most difficult parts of Hebron is the fact that you have to choose a sport every season, right? There's so many options that I would love to do. Can you do playing soccer and mountain biking at the same time, Mr. Brooks?
I think I touched on that a little bit, but in short, no. I mean, this kind of goes in kind of under, it's a commitment, right? And committing to something is a part of life, and it comes with pros and cons committing, right? And so our students will commit to a sport. Again, you have that 2-week window to kind of try out a couple sports if you're not sure. But once you make that final decision after the 2 weeks, that's your sport, right? And we feel 2 weeks is a good enough time for those who are kind of vacillating to get exposure to some other areas. But after that, that 2-week window, then yeah, you're committed to that sport. Of course, there are exceptions, and we can work on those on a case by case basis. But
and I think something to remind everybody is you have not only commitment, you have a schedule for each sport, so they overlap. It's impossible to compete in both sports, and what we want is that each student is committed to represent Hebron at that sport with their team. Which is a huge part of boarding school. This is a good one. Mr. Mr. Brooks, is there a summer conditioning program?
Mr. Well, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, certainly. I specifically sport by sport, there isn't a summer conditioning program, but I think, as Mr. Nunez said earlier, like if you intend to play a varsity sport, you should, be practicing and preparing at a varsity level. Like you should be, you should come in at a high fitness level. You should, say it's soccer, for example, you should get out there and whether it's, 100, 500 to 1,000 touches every day, run a couple miles, like just try to make sure that when you get out in the practice field on September 1st for the first day of preseason, that you're able to, just kind of hang with the players at the level that you want to play at.
Absolutely.
And that's something that, are they able to reach out to their coaches through email to ask about particular recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, if I think that Mr. Weldon, that would be a good starting point. So if you have any students, since I'll be playing ice hockey, should I bring my hockey bag to school when I arrive at school in August? So great question. The short answer is you can. We certainly can store it for you. But you don't have to. If you know that you're going home over a break or an extended period before the winter season starts, then you can also get it then. But we certainly can store the hockey equipment for you. You're welcome to keep it in your room if you'd like. But being a former washed up hockey player myself, I know how the hockey equipment can smell. So you don't want to leave that in your room. We have plenty of storage to keep that. So if it makes it easier, you can bring it with you when you arrive in the fall.
Yeah. And I think, the ice was down early October last year, probably be similar time frame this year. So there will be the option to get out on the ice a couple of times before the season starts.
I am so glad you mentioned that. I would have felt terribly yes. Thank you so much. I forgot. Yes. So Mr. Weld's right. Ice typically goes down early to mid-October, and our hockey teams and anyone else who wants to use it has the opportunity to skate on the ice. So thank you, Mr. Weld, for saying that. So if you want to skate with the hot girls hockey team early to mid-October, bring it in the fall.
Yeah. Both footballs are fall sports, American football and soccer. They are fall sports. Which schools do we play against?
Mr. Weld, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, certainly. It depends on the sport, really. It's in the past, our competitiveness in each individual sport has kind of shaped the schedule and, how good the teams are that we play. If you look at boys varsity soccer, for example, we're playing everyone from Holderness to Pingree to, Bridgeton Academy, which is an all PG school, all 18, 19-year-olds. So that, that's a very high caliber team. And then if you get to sports more like mountain biking, where it's, very specific prep schools that have it, that's more Proctor, Holderness, Gould. And so, yeah, it really just depends school by school, but more often than not, it's, independent schools, private schools in Maine, getting into New Hampshire with Brewster, KUA, then getting down to typically northern Massachusetts, like Pingree and schools in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in the other comment to that is the better the team does, the more that he evolves into playoffs, into other competitions. Usually, for example, soccer, we're able to play against the main schools first. And then we are able to expand, as we always dominate, into New England and Massachusetts and New Hampshire and show them how it's done. Will masks be required for athletes during playing time, Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, it's a good question. The short answer is no. I think we're working through some things with arrival protocols, but after that, no, we're not going to mandate masks. We are asking our students who are eligible to get vaccinated, and because of that, um, really we are very, very comfortable with the risk of playing other schools, and because the risk really isn't on us with the vaccine. We're vaccinated, and most of the other schools we're playing will be vaccinated too. So I think that comes with a big relief that we don't have to run cross country in masks anymore. We don't have to play ice hockey in masks. We're going back to normal with no masks during sports.
Are there practices on Friday or just Monday to Thursday?
We have practices on Friday. On the not rare. I mean, we occasionally have games on Fridays. But practice. Typically, like a typical week is you have practice Monday, Tuesday, a game Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice, game Saturday. Again, that's generic, and each sport has its little different nuances to it. But you can generally expect two or so games a week with practices in between.
Yeah, somebody is asking a little bit about uniforms, especially golf uniforms. They are classy. Do we have golf uniforms, and do we have equipment for them to represent Hebron with some swag?
Yeah, of course. I wasn't like I said, I didn't stop playing sports that long ago. I know that swag is what the kids want. So yeah, we have like golf shirts that we issue along with we have the Hebron golf bags, and then we supply for matches. We give you Hebron golf balls for each match that you have, and then it's expected that you wear golf pants or like khaki shorts or golf shorts, something like that. And you can wear athletic shoes, or if you have golf shoes too, those are obviously welcome.
Yeah, in during competitions, we will provide you with the uniforms to represent Hebron. What is important to know is during practices, it's important to bring plenty of athletic clothing, as you will be practicing on your own with your own clothing. Then during the games, well, obviously we'll have the uniform ready.
And it's worth mentioning too that at the start of the fall, it's pretty warm, like Indian summer, and it can be nice weather. But as we go into October and then early November, it can start to get pretty cold. So it's important to bring some cold weather gear that you're able to move in, whether it's kind of an Under Armour shirt or something like a cold shirt, or for a game, for a practice, like if you can move in a sweatshirt, that's fine. But in a game, you'll be expected to kind of wear your uniform, and then Under Armour cold gear works well under that.
Yeah, and Wendy's asking a little bit about storage. Will there be a storage available for equipment? There's of golf, hockey, skiing, lacrosse. There are spaces where they can store it during the year.
Yeah. Mr. Well, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, certainly. There's storage space. I mean, whether in the dorm or, it depends on the sport. There's a ski room in the Williams Center, but yeah, certainly we can find space for it somewhere on campus, just, so that you don't have to lug it around from place to place, or so that you can kind of have it accessible if you do want to practice a sport out of season on the weekends, or, a random event for that occasion.
Yeah, for some of the smaller equipment, like if you have a lacrosse stick, that kind of stuff can be stored in your room because it's easily accessible. But for the bigger things like skiing, like Mr. Weld said, we have a whole room dedicated for ski and snowboard gear in the Williams Center. Hockey, we're very, very lucky to have our own ice hockey rink right on campus, and we can store your gear in there. We also have storage in the dorms, and so you can store a lot of stuff there that faculty all have keys to. And so if it's not something you need on a daily basis, but if it's like, for example, your hockey gear, you can store it in the dorm, in the storage facilities in the dorms, and get it when we need to.
Yeah. On that note, Ellen is asking a little bit about do the students have access to the gym and courts and fields and be able to practice a sport that they might not be competing at during the weekends or free time or on breaks?
Yeah, so we keep our students pretty busy throughout the day. From the start of the school day until after classes end. They basically have like a half an hour, and then they go right into after school activities and sports. There is some time on the weekdays after your practice ends that a lot of our students do use. They'll shoot some hoops in the gym, kind of some downtime before or after dinner. The athletic center is open until 7:15 every night before study hall, which starts at 7:30. So in that time, students get dinner, but there's also an hour and a half where you can do what you want. And a lot of our students take advantage of the weight room. On the weekends, yeah, like our students also use the facilities a lot. Like our athletic center is relatively new, about 10 years old, and it's there to use. And so a lot of our students and faculty alike, like we all use the facilities, and as they should be. We just bought some new equipment for the weight room. We got a lot more kettlebells, and we bought another rower, like an erg rower, Concept 2. We got some Concept 2 bikes. So we're ramping up and we're ready, and we want everyone to use the facilities if they want to.
Yeah, and I think also speaking a little further to that, like if there is a sport that is out of season or a sport that you're not playing competitively at the moment, like there are options and ways for you to kind of build on that. Like we've had 6 a.m. pickup games for basketball in Williams Center. We've had, a student who loves soccer set up his own futsal league in the winter and spring. Like there's always opportunities and kind of different avenues to pursue something that, may not be in season at the moment, or that you aren't playing at the moment, that, you can really kind of find other students that are as interested in it as you are.
Yeah, I think especially in the weekend, I think every Saturday there's a futsal tournament, the faculty take place too. But I think that the difference is that to summarize it, is the sport that you choose is the sport you compete against other schools. But there is internal within Hebron plenty of tournaments in the house system. The Bears, the Otters, the Squids. You will be assigned to a house when you arrive on campus, so that you represent that house during the different tournaments that we have during the weekend.
For anyone who's new, which I think there are a lot of, you want to be on the Bears team.
The Bears are the back-to-back champions, undefeated domination. Both Mr. Brooks and myself are Bears members. Mr. Well, what are you?
I'm a Squid.
That's just
sitting pretty in second place.
You guys are doing well. You guys are trying hard.
I mean, it's better in fourth, but it's still not ideal.
One big question that everybody's asking is, what about, obviously skiing and snowboarding are the biggest, more popular sports in the winter. And what about the gear? Everybody's worried. Do I need to buy it? Can I rent it? Do I buy it now? Do I rent it now? Will there be opportunities for me to do it during the fall season?
Yeah, so I guess the answer is it depends on your level of skiing or snowboarding. If you're an alpine ski racer, you're probably best suited to bring your gear, because maybe you're particular about your skis and your equipment. But if you're more of a recreational skier or snowboarder, it doesn't hurt to bring your equipment. We, like Mr. Weld said, we have the facilities to store it, and a lot of our students do. But at the same time, if you're not going to bring equipment, then we work with local companies to outfit those students who don't have gear to rent for the season. And we start taking care of that in the fall, because that's what happens with seasonal rentals. Everyone, including ourselves and other people outside of the Hebron community, like when they get ski and snowboard rentals, it happens kind of October, November. So we'll be communicating with families about kind of what you need to do at that time to get your ski and snowboard equipment. And what that entails is, in terms of what you get out of that rental, is if you're a skier, it's skis, boots, and ski poles, right? And then if you're a snowboarder, it's the snowboard and the boots. Everything else, like the snow pants, the winter jacket, the gloves, goggles, all of that if you want to take part in skiing, that should be purchased by the individual families. It's worth mentioning too that just like mountain biking, it's a school policy that all of our students have helmets if they want to get on the mountain. So just as important as the skis and snowboard is the helmet, right? Like if you don't have a helmet, we can't get in on the mountain. But again, with that said, helmets are easier to come by. We can certainly, if you show up on the day of first day of skiing or snowboarding and you don't have a helmet, we're going to a mountain that has a pro shop. We can get you a helmet there, right?
And then, like I said, it's one of the most popular, obviously, seasons at Hebron. You will see Mr. Brooks there. You will see Mr. Well too. Great skiers. You won't see me there. I will be at the lodge. But I think everybody's asking a little bit if we can kind of provide them with the usual options for winter and for spring. What so that they can look ahead. What kind of sports will they be able to pick for both the winter and the spring season?
Sure. So just kind of going off the top of my head here, and you can certainly look at the website. We have a list of our offerings there, but a big draw for our students, not surprisingly, is our snow sports, right? So we have the skiing, recreational skiing and snowboarding, alpine ski team, and the snowboard team, right? So we get those teams in competitions. Boys and girls ice hockey in the winter, boys and girls basketball, and Mr. Weld, help me out if I'm missing anything. We have kind of the more non-traditional sports, like if a winter sport isn't your thing, we have what's called PFIT, which is a fitness class. PERS stands for personal fitness. A lot of our athletes who don't take part in winter sport, but maybe are baseball or lacrosse players, both boys and girls, will do PFIT to kind of get ready for their spring season. There's the winter musical that takes place, so a lot of our students do that. Again, we have dedicated students who do that as their after-school activity, but we like to get those like other people involved. So we have students from all different sports. Faculty gets involved. It's a really fun event on campus. After school art in the winter as well. So we have that as well as an offering. And then we have what's called winter pursuits, which is similar to outdoor ed. It kind of gives you a broad overview of winter activities. So if you're not so gung-ho about just skiing, but you want to try Nordic skiing, for example, you do want to get on the mountain and ski. You want to go snowshoeing. You want to try a little squash, or you want to learn to ice skate. That's the sport for you. It'll give you kind of a general overview of the offerings. And we've had students go through that, start in that program as a winter pursuit student, and then evolve into alpine ski racers, which was so cool to see. Because like he came to campus, I think as a freshman from, where was Andy from? Andy Jang.
Yeah, he's from, I think he is from outside. Yeah, that might be correct. Yeah. A little bit.
He didn't have any skiing experience, tried winter pursuits, found that he loved skiing, and then became an alpine ski racer. And really his aptitude for skiing was pretty high. He took to it very quickly. Yeah. In the spring, we have boys and girls lacrosse, baseball, softball, track and field. Mr. Weld, help me out here.
Boys and girls tennis.
Yep.
Rock climbing.
And rock climbing as well.
Yep. Yeah, and those offerings, we will fine tune those a little bit as we get further into the year. But yeah, generally those are the ones that you can bank on. I know that we offer an after school activity that's not so sports focused. Dance. We offer dance in the spring as well.
And and spring fitness and service the past couple of years as well.
Yeah.
And that goes with the idea of, you have 3 seasons. You can really follow what you're passionate about, but you can also get out of your comfort zone and do something for the first time. Yeah. Which I think is one of the greatest things that Hebron is able to offer. If you are from a big city like New York or Tokyo, to be able to go rock climbing every day, that's pretty cool. So awesome. Be able to get out of your comfort zone, even if it's one season, I think it's really worth it, and it will go beyond athletics. It will help you grow into the person you are. Now, as we are reaching the end of the webinar, I don't know if there's any more questions. Let me see if there's any more. I don't know if I'm forgetting something, Mr. Brooks.
Just a couple of quick answers. Can we play tennis on the weekends? The short answer is yes. We have the outdoor tennis courts are up. The nets are up in the fall until we start getting snow. Then we take them down. We do have indoor tennis courts that we can set up the nets for, and students and faculty alike play. So we can play tennis year round. For the ski team, do we need any special equipment? Skis, boots, helmet, and poles, and we'll supply the rest. We have like the spider suits and everything like that, and goggles. Goggles are very important.
Yeah. And the Olympics start this Friday, so get in the mood, guys. Take some tips, and come ready for this season, as we are all looking forward. I think that is an understatement. We are all really excited to be able to have competitions on Wednesday, to have competitions on Saturdays, to go to other schools and beat them and welcome them at Hebron as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's something, I think, this challenging year that we went through, the silver lining is a lot of the things that we took for granted are no longer. So I think there will be a great year to try different things, to compete, to be proud of the team that you're part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are so excited. I was actually walking the fields today.
They look amazing.
Yeah, they're like green, they're lush. And I was standing in where the spot where we would watch soccer games, right? And it just hit me like I realized in that moment today how much we missed competing against other schools. Not only that for the kids playing, but it's also such a community event for everyone to be able to watch and come and watch a game. And so personally, I got really, really excited for the year in that moment, and kind of gave me a little bit of perspective on last year as well.
And I think to finalize the session, Mr. Brooks and Mr. Well, if you can put your emails in the chat so that people have them in case they have any last minute questions. But as always, guys, we love to do these webinars. Next week at the same time, we will be having arts and music, so that you get to explore the different options that you will have both in an academic setting and in extracurriculars with arts and music. We're really excited to welcome you soon. I mean, I was talking with a few parents today that we are, I don't know, like a month away. So, it's just around the corner, and it's great to see so many familiar names, so many. So really, really looking forward to seeing you all here. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach Mr. Brooks, Mr. Well, or myself. Like I always said, if it's around this time, feel free to call me. If it's at midnight, call Mr. Brooks. He's great at that. But guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the time.
All right. Have fun. See you later.